Supply chain grabs tech. Well, actually, it really better. It's going to be an awful lot of trouble. We're going to see a lot of different changes happening in the next decade and probably well beyond that in the supply chain, especially in this relationship with technology. We start looking at the aspect of coordinating trucks, ships, planes, drones. We have a whole series of matrix happening out there. And then on top of that, you have the interchangeability between different types of transportation and different vendors going back and forth. A lot of different things are going to be happening when it comes to technology, especially in the supply chain, as we reach even further and deeper around planet Earth. One of the core parts of it really is information technology, but don't think that that's all there is to it. The reality is business planning and how we structure business as well, because business needs to talk to its different components in the supply chain on a regular basis. There's some problems with that. As soon as you start sharing data, you don't know where it's going. We have a couple different militaries on planet Earth that part of their military's job is to steal information. That information could be part of your supply chain, or even maybe worse yet, although I'm not certain it really is that supposedly in the theory of looking at the different data, we're looking at by 2025, the number one area of theft on planet Earth is going to be cyber theft. That being said, it's going to be bigger than all of drug trafficking on planet Earth. That's a big deal, and you better believe the supply chain is going to be a target for that. IT is great, business processes are great. You have to tweak them both, intertwine them both, but in the meantime, you have to build in cybersecurity as a key part of it. A lot of systems are individual and internal to the company. We look on the external aspect of trying to share data outside and trying to gather data inside. All that is critical. So communication links are a huge thing. Backup files are a huge thing. The study by MIT, a couple other ones out there also, you're going to look at part of the issue is invest mostly in business processes. Good to spend it in IT. You're going to have to spend it in IT. You really have no choice just to keep up. You need to also pay attention to the business processes. If this business process here doesn't talk to the one over here, you might have some great technology in it, but if the technologies don't talk to each other, then you have a serious problem. I'm working in education. We have a problem with this. Some of our technologies, we think we're really clever. We have this one over here and this one over here, this homegrown system over here. To be frank about it, you have all the politics of different systems, but sometimes they don't talk to each other, and that is always the biggest problem. It should be easy for us to go in, enter one password, and go into a system, but no, we have 4 or 5 different systems, and this is just education. Our product, our supply chain isn't anything at all like trying to transport goods from Bangladesh across the ocean all the way through Boston on the other side of the United States. It's nothing like that at all, which is far more complicated on the supply chain. So you start looking at the aspects of technology. It's not just technology, it's got to be business processes as well. KPIs, we call them key performance indicators. They're really objective ways to measure some of the maturity of the business processes within the information system and the information technology employed by the company. There's a lot more difficult because there's variations across the company. Some companies are antiquated in the investment process, some of them are high tech, and a lot of times you have a conflict between the two different aspects, not just in file format, just in the fact of people scratching their heads trying to figure out what this one is asking for in the process. You really have 4 different levels on the score model. On the score model, you have a disconnected process. This one is independent, this one's independent, this one's independent. So you have this lack of interconnection between them. And then sometimes within the same company, you'll have internal integration all within the company, except for those people over there. We don't trust them. We're not going to share our data. I'm not exaggerating. This is how it works. And then this one over here doesn't trust them because you know what they might actually give it to some of your competitors in the process. And of course, they don't trust them either. So you have all this finger pointing and you have a problem. You have internal integration, but you don't have communication between different entities in the supply chain. Then you have the intercompany integration, and all of a sudden things become easier the profitability increases, your inventory level declines because you're sharing different data in the process, and eventually, finally, you have multi-enterprise integration. But you got to make certain a couple things. Nobody's lying to each other, which is a big deal. It kind of seems the nature of humanity sometimes is not to always be fully forthcoming as to what's going on there, and machines just emulate us in the process. So you have that. The other part is cybersecurity. How strong is it going to be? Level 4 is certainly the best one. And you know what? That word trust, TRUST, is a big deal. It's a big deal in business. Can you trust the people all the way down your supply chain? And trust isn't made by a contract. Trust is made by a contract that's been around for a long period of time when we go in the process of looking at different components that are in there. So pay attention to that part as well. There's a lot of independent processes that are in every organization. Sometimes we don't even take an inventory as to what they are. We sometimes we're organized functionally to no degree of installation. You also have this thing that's called the silo effect. It really is a really bad strategy, but you can kind of see it happening. Whenever you have departmentalization inside of an organization, us marketing people, we're so sick and tired of those people over there, those manufacturers. They won't listen to what we're saying. Our customers want this, they want this. The manufacturing people over here saying, those marketing people, they're disgusting. They keep on trying to bend everything. Don't they understand all the process we have to go through in the process over here? I mean, and then the transportation people saying, they want us to load up trucks and everything else, these partial loads. That is just everybody only focuses in on what's inside their silo. They built up walls and barriers, and then they start pointing fingers back and forth as to who's doing what, then why there's a problem because of those people. The reality is there shouldn't be walls between them, but you know what? This is called something human nature. So the silo effect is really an issue, not just in supply chain, but in every organization. You have to have a clear, consistent supply chain. That means a whole series of things altogether that really is a chain instead of the silos, instead of us thinking independently. The internal integration is a big deal. If you can get the silo walls broken down in your organization, that's the first thing. Even breaking down the barriers between the two. Even like in my case, human resources and payroll, they have to be integrated, even though they're usually underneath two different departments. So they have to talk to each other, or you'll have all kinds of trouble. The same thing happened in the supply chain. If you don't have manufacturing talking to transportation, talking to the retailers, the end sellers in the process, you're going to have problems. But first of all, get your act together inside your organization and have some kind of integration, document the processes across the entire organization, look on different aspects of how you have some ISO 9000 processes. I'm talking about that. Have some cross functionality organized within the organization, and then reach out on level 3 to start trading information back and forth. Eventually, if you do this, you'll eliminate that lack of trust barrier because you'll be trusting people. So start integrating stuff across the whole aspect after you get your internal act together. And then make certain you have the decisions optimized across the internal supply chain. Talk to each other, see what's expected, have a lot of communication. That's going to really help everybody in the process as well. And maybe someday when you grow up, you can be a multi-enterprise integration all the way up and down the supply chain. But first, you have to recognize where you're at level 1, build level 2 inside, build level 3 to communicate across the board, and then go have cooperation across the entire supply chain. Supply chain grabs tech. Level 2, integrate internal integration. Level 3, intercompany between companies, start sharing things on a limited basis, and eventually you two could be a level 4, which is the ultimate. You have a lot of different illustrations in your textbook of companies that have reached that level after years and years and years of starting at level 1, 2, and 3, and they hit that level 4, and everything is firing on all cylinders as they sit down and crank out product and goods, good quality goods with a good delivery aspect of it, and everybody's making profit and successful until the next economy crunch or the next whatever happens. Level 4 is there, but you got to maintain it. If you don't maintain it, it'll drop down to a level 3 or even a level 2. So you got to maintain it and watch diligently on the supply chain as we grab technology and fix business processes to match it as we process. Take care.